So, welcome everyone. I'm Laurie Cameron, and I'm so glad to be with you on this Sunday morning in these very unprecedented times. And I know today isn't the first time that a meditation teacher has said, wow, we're in unprecedented times. But each time, every cycle of 4 or 5 years, when we seem to be saying that, it feels like, no, this is the most unprecedented, painful, unknown, uncertain time. And so once again, we find ourselves navigating the news of the day, lots of uncertainty, grief, and loss. And it causes me, as a meditation teacher, to pause and really reflect on what might be most useful or beneficial in these times for us as a Sangha, as a community. And yesterday I had the um, a wonderful opportunity to just practice stillness and presence. And it was a day of just being here. And I thought, as I was preparing this week for this class, there's a lot of wonderful content and Dharma teachings and lessons. And I thought, what we really need these days is just to drop below all of the content, all of the cognitive thinking, and just drop into the heart together. So that's the plan for today, is the practice of being, simply being. So I invite you now. What we're going to do this morning is we'll do a guided meditation practice together, and then we will do a short talk. I don't want to, as I just said, do too much in the cognitive space, but just some methods that we can draw on to access presence. And then we'll do some embodied movement so we can move emotions and move feelings and move whatever's here through the body and release them. And then we'll have time for Q&A and reflections together as a community. So with that, I invite you to kind of stretch the arms, and you might do overhead, and you might just just think about stretching your body out in like a starburst in different directions, or maybe the points of a clock is a metaphor that works for you. Moving your neck around and just preparing the body to come into stillness. I invite you to close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. If not, then simply just soften the gaze so that you're looking at the table or the floor in front of you with a very softened gaze. The idea is that we're closing down the sense doorways, just closing down the input doors so that we can direct attention inward. So bringing attention inward. I make a home inside myself, a shelter of kindness where everything is forgiven, everything allowed, a quiet patch of sunlight to stretch out without hurry, where all that has been banished and buried is welcomed, spoken, listened to, released. I whisper hallelujah to the friendly sky. Watch now. as I burst into blossom. As you bring attention inward, see if you can sense where the body is experiencing breathing. How do you know you're breathing in this moment? Can you feel the rise and fall of the abdomen? It's pretty miraculous. Maybe you feel the air coming in and out of the nose. Just breathing. And as you bring attention to the simple fact that you are being breathed in this moment, see if you can allow the other parts of your body to let go a little. Gathering attention, resting it on the breath, allowing the jaw, the shoulders, the hands to soften. The breath is a lifeline. We can bring attention on purpose to the breath in these times. Breathing in, I know that I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know that I'm breathing out. Simply resting attention on the breath. See if you can follow a full cycle of breathing. The in-breath, the out-breath, and the space in between the breaths. There's a pause in there. Finding the space between. Resting. finding a place to rest in the middle of things. Feeling the life that's right here. The energy flowing through this body. The energy generated intentionally by each one of us. Sangha, community, practicing together. Simply being. Let's bring this gift of presence, this gift of attention to our whole body. The ultimate act of self-care, of self-love, is giving that compassionate attention to ourselves, putting the oxygen mask on ourselves first so that we can make that turn from I to we and extend our hearts outwardly in widening circles. But first we tend to the life that's right here. So bringing attention to the top of the head, you might pull yourself up a bit, feeling that alertness in the spine, keeping the front soft. And sensing the top of the head, any energy or tingling, any sensation there. You may notice nothing at all, that's no problem. Simply observing, sensing, feeling, coming down to the forehead. You might even touch the forehead, just gentle, noticing this tender face, bringing attention to the eyes, taking in so much. Noticing if there's a tightness around the eyes, if they're puffy from lack of sleep or crying. Just bringing a kind attention right here. Moving to the face, cheeks. Breathing in through the nose. Moving to the mouth, lips. Moving to the throat. Throat gets very tight. as does the jaw in these difficult times. Just inviting a relaxation, a letting go, touching the joint at the jaw, giving yourself kind attention. You can let go a little. As Ajahn Chah invites us, let go a little more, a little more. Coming down to the base of the throat and just resting here for a moment. There might be a lot there, a lot of things you want to express, or demand, or shout, or resist, or curse, or deny. Or maybe there's unsaid things, tender things, beautiful expressions of love to people in your life or other beings. A lot gets caught right here. Let's take a deep breath in and an audible sigh, a big exhale. Just clearing the throat, the voice, sending kind invitation to just relax, let go, feel free to this important part of our energy body. Moving down to the chest area, the heart center. Feeling the heartbeat if you can discern the beat of the heart. Feeling the rise and fall of the chest with the breath. Really coming into presence here. Curious, compassionate attention to this body, this life, this spirit. Moving down to the abdomen. May have experienced a lot these last few weeks. Contraction, tightness, butterflies, rumbling, nausea. Wow, just the whole landscape of emotions is felt here. Putting 2 hands on the belly, feeling the warmth of your own tender heart, just sending love inward, right here. Resting here. Moving attention down through the legs, the knees, the calves, to the feet, and just feeling the entire body as a whole. The energy of mindfulness, of awareness, just moving inside, sensing the life inside this body and widening out and just enveloping the body as a whole. Wow. Thich Nhat Hanh calls this the miracle of mindfulness, the miracle of directing attention, loving, compassionate witnessing and sensing and feeling to our immediate, direct experience, the experience of being alive. Let's just breathe here for a moment, sensing from the inside out what it means to be fully alive, all the parts, and sensing that wider, vast field of love. We are both the ocean and the wave. The wave expressing itself and leaping and curling and falling and splashing. Each one of us a unique expression of the source of the divine. Just feeling that, the joy of that. And feeling the wave turn back into itself, into the vast ocean. And then back again, leaping, arching, curling, splashing. We are all this ocean together right now in this moment. So we rest in this presence, in this knowing. Simply being. You might put a hand on your heart, bringing attention from the ocean and the waves back to the life that's right here. What would the divine say to you right now in these difficult times? Whatever language or idea works for you is exactly the language that you should choose. It's all just words. Is it Mother Earth? Is it God? Is it the divine? Is it your higher self? Your bodhisattva true nature? What would that wisest, most loving, kindest voice say to you right now, today? Choose a sweet name for yourself. If it's your first name, or if it's sweetheart, or dear one, or dear heart. Dear heart, I love you. I'm here. I'm listening. Just sending this self-compassion, this kindness from the wide field, from your highest self. Just send it inward to all the parts, the inner child, that defiant teenager that wants to fight the inner child that wants to hide and cry, that paternal, loving friend part, parent part that wants to nurture, sending that love to all the parts of you, letting them know that the adult is in the room, the highest self, the source energy. It's okay. You are doing enough. You will rest. You will take wise action. You will express kindness and love. You will practice. You will breathe. You will walk in nature. You will look people in the eye and smile. You will write letters. You will make phone calls. You will serve. And it's okay to pause and be present, to feel the full life that's right here with such tenderness and love. This, dear heart, is how you build resilience and return to your true nature. The greatest gift we can give, says Thich Nhat Hanh, is our presence. Take this energy of love that we've generated, that we're connected to, and send it out. First, bringing to mind someone that's so easy to love, the kind neighbor, a grandparent, if you have a benevolent grandparent, a mentor, a spiritual teacher, a partner, a puppy. Just sending out, feeling that energy of love that's always there. You just You're just dropping into that slipstream, feeling it coming and going, sending and receiving. Wow. And now feeling this community, the Sangha, right here, this moment, sending out loving kindness to each person. May you be happy and peaceful. May you just be content. May you tap into that contentment, that equanimity. May you be safe. May you be protected. May you know that you are loved. Sending it out and receiving it. It's coming back to you. Open your heart just a little more and let it come in. And then if you like, sending it out even wider, who can you include? Can you include the neighbor that has very different opinions than you do? Can you include leaders in business and politics and the PTA and the community center and the sports club? People that are difficult for you. Can we open our heart to say, yes, we all belong. Can we see the gold inside each human? Takes a real open heart to see the gold beneath the clay, beneath the conditioning and shaping and teaching and rearing and all that all these humans have experienced that have made them who they are. Can we see below that, beneath that, into that? Imagining them shedding all that clay, that covering. Gold to gold, your gold to their gold, higher self to higher self. That's the Bodhisattva path. That's the true nature, moving through the world, a spiritual warrior, strong back, soft front, sending love out in wider and wider circles, tending the heart like tending a fire. That's what we're doing together right now, so that we may return to love again and again throughout the day, taking a deep breath, coming back right here to the fire. That's the practice. I invite you now as we close to envision that we're all sitting in a clearing in this dense forest of our busy lives and the busy world stage. We've gathered here together. Is a fire. We're throwing logs on and tending. It's warming us. It's reminding us of our own golden light. Sending and receiving blessings and kindness across the fire in every direction. Each of us receiving, sending. May you be well. May you feel loved. May you access the calm strength that is your innate capacity. Putting the left hand on the back of the person next to you, your right hand on your heart, just feeling held and being held. This is the jewel of Sangha, community. We are a tribal, social species. We need each other. Taking a deep breath in here, a slow, easy exhale. Relaxing back into this truth of our interbeing, our interconnection, feeling that energy. A smile comes to my face as I feel this with you. And bringing that left hand back to the heart over top the other hand, just pressing in a bit. Dear heart, I'm here for you. Taking a deep breath in, an audible exhale. Opening your eyes when you're ready. And taking a stretch. Just letting all that you generated and felt just kind of move through the body. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your practice. If you've joined while we were meditating, welcome. So great to have you all here. So many lovely names. I'm just strolling through and seeing all of you, our community, our Sangha. If you're new here, let us know. Say hello in the chat. We'd love to welcome you. I'm Laurie. I teach at the Center for Mindful Living here, based in DC, but we've got both in-person and virtual offerings. So if you're here from out of town, we're so glad that we can practice with you. I'm here on the second Sunday of every month. And I'm a longtime student of the Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh. I started practicing in my late 20s with Thai, as we call him, and visiting and living among the nuns and monks in the different monasteries in the US and also in Plum Village. And what I so cherish about the experiences of living with the nuns and monks is the simplicity of what Thai has designed, the simplicity of the practice. He understood that being present, truly present with oneself and each other is the practice, that is the greatest gift we can give. He had beautiful Dharma talks every day. We would sit as a whole community at 5:30 and the sun would rise over the temple, over the meditation hall. And then we would go to a silent breakfast. So wonderful, vegan, prepared by all the lay practitioners and the nuns and monks together. It's a really beautiful way to practice if you can experience spending a week there. Everyone's welcome. So we enjoy this, we make our plates, and then we're usually eating outside, whether I was in Plum Village in France or Deer Park in California or in New York at Blue Cliff or Magnolia Grove in Mississippi. All of the setups have us usually eating outside, and there's always a lotus pond, and there's always a huge temple, not really temple bell, but big mindfulness bell on a structure on the land. And there's always a beautiful white Kuan Yin statue, just holding compassion for everyone. And so you sit in silence and eat with full presence, tasting each taste, seeing each texture, seeing the colors, noticing the light coming up over the land, noticing other people, not having to talk or engage in chit chat, which can be so comforting. Being with people, but just also really just being, capital B. And then we move into a Dharma talk, and Thai would have a whiteboard and teach us. And it was so incredible to receive his teachings. And as we move through the day, we might be walking from our tent or cabin to the lunch hall, or we might be walking across to one of our working meditation assignments, chopping vegetables or filling the spice containers or whatever the work assignment is we had for the week. And randomly a big bell would sound, very big bell would be with a long, almost like a log, would be pulled back and it would hit this very large 4-meter bell. And then we would all stop wherever you are, whatever you're doing, taking a sip of coffee or talking to a nun or monk, chopping a carrot. You just stop and breathe. Bring attention to the breath, enjoying 3 mindful breaths. That does happen throughout the day, all over the world, at the monasteries that practice in the tradition of Thich Nhat Hanh, the Plum Village tradition. That was so powerful. It's powerful to stop and pause and be reminded to breathe, reminded to just come into presence, and then to look around and see everyone paused. Everyone, hundreds of people in different places, just paused. And so when you go to a monastery in this tradition, this is how you practice every day. And when we leave the monastery, as we integrate this resetting of the soul, of the nervous system, of the body, of the heart, our assignment really is to think, how am I going to sustain this? How will I come into presence, into being back in real life? So I invite you to be thinking about that, to think about your own life, the rhythm of your life. When I lived in Germany, when my daughter Ava Grace was 1.5 until she was 7, I lived in Hanover, Germany, across from a beautiful, stunning Gothic church. Sorry, little cold. My Altbau, my Jungenstiel old apartment, was directly across from the mosaic, stunning mosaic from artisans that came up from Ravenna, Italy, and inlaid all the tiles and all the colors just shimmering when the sun hit it. That was right across from the apartment, and there was a church, stunning church bell. And like many cities in Europe, they sound the church bells. You'll hear that in Germany and Italy and France, Switzerland. And so all throughout the day, I heard, because I was right across the street, this loud church bell. It was just a highlight of my life to live across from that bell, because I use that bell as a mindfulness bell. That's a core part of my practice with Thich Nhat Hanh, is the mindfulness bell, and I lived across from one. So on the hour and at every 15-minute increment, I would hear that bell. And that is, you might think, oh my gosh, I would go crazy hearing a bell 4 times an hour. And it was amazing, because I had the bell, like the bells of the of the of the monastery, right here, reminding me to pause and to breathe and to come in and check in with myself. So I invite you to close your eyes now in this reflection and think of your own life, the rhythm of your day, what's around you. What mindfulness bells do you have in your life to bring you into presence? Just reflecting on that for one moment. How might you set up a few mindfulness bells? You can even use bells on the Insight Timer app. You can set a few bells to ring from your phone, how might you set bells to remind you to come back into presence? Opening your eyes. So this is the invitation. In times of turbulence and chaos and deep grief, I've had a few friends crying with me. I've had clients this week expressing deep grief at the change in their lives. The invitation, the assignment is to come back and just rest in this present moment attention. I'm plugging in my cord. So I just noticed the little low battery sign. So I'm pausing now for some tapping into energetic source. Might have to slide over just a little bit, you guys. This is what happens these days. I'm on the move a lot. I'm relocating and moving from town to town, it feels like, and got to remember the external power cords while I'm inside recharging. So the invitation, as we did in the practice, as we learn on the monasteries of Thich Nhat Hanh, is to make the practice of being present in the body, using the breath, if that works for you, using a body scan, using a movement practice, inviting nature in to remind us to open the senses, to really, really drop into presence more than ever, and to feel the energy of mindfulness in community, in Sangha. That is our invitation. That is our assignment. One of the skills that I find really helpful is from the teacher Joseph Goldstein. He wrote a really great book. It's sort of like one of the mindfulness core reference books. I may have one here. Mindfulness, a practical guide to awakening. You might know him from IMS. I'm sorry, it's a little blurry. Joseph actually shares a house up in Barre, Massachusetts with the wonderful teacher Sharon Salzberg. He's just a great, practical, clear, grounded teacher. One of the early teachers of mindfulness here in the United States. And he often teaches the skill of mental noting. Mental noting is when we label what is happening in the mind with the thoughts. And as we're in these really difficult times, it's important for us not only to cultivate the direct experience of being present, like we just did together in practice, but also to use the skills of the progressive path of awakening. So we have the direct path, which is dropping right in, and we have the progressive path as one way to talk about, learning the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path and all the incredible skills and mental models and frameworks that we learn in order to support us in dropping in and being present. So one of those skills is mental noting and or labeling, as some teachers call it. And it's the ability to pause and notice what your mind is doing. Like, what is happening right now? You might notice agitated mind, or you can use mental noting for the body, heart pounding, hands sweaty, stomach contracted. So we practice this noting of the body. That's really interoception. We practice mental noting when we're resisting, when we're judging, when we're blaming, when we're shaming. These are all the habituated conditions that take us away from being present. Another way I've been thinking about it a lot lately is, when am I in purely in the heart, in the heart space? And when am I in my humanity, my personality, my using my coping mechanisms, responding from triggered parts and old pains, responding from fear, responding like from my ego, my own ideas of what's right and what's wrong based on what I've learned and what I've been told and what I've been taught. So I've been thinking about that. Like, I've got this radiant gold spiritual high self, higher self, and then I've got this human being, this Laurie Cameron as a human, and all of the things that come with that. And I love being a human. I'm happy that I'm here and able to experience joy and beauty and awe and wonder and feel the cold wind on my face on a winter day and notice the magnificent tree in my yard. And last night I stood under vibrant stars here in Annapolis, Maryland, and saw, Orion right over top of me like a protector. I'm happy that I'm human and I can experience all this, but boy, does it trip me up. And boy, can I fall into blaming and anger and um, anger is useful. There's no emotion that's bad. It's when we get like the emotion makes us lose consciousness and we're caught in loops, and we're caught, or we get stuck and we get overwhelmed. So the noting, the witnessing, and naming what the human is experiencing is really powerful. You may experiment this week with sort of that higher self, gently witnessing what this human is experiencing and then just naming it. Okay. All right, dear one. You're complaining. You're frustrated. There's frustrated thoughts. Or okay, dear one, calm. The mind is calm. The body is calm, resting. Okay, dear one, the heart is open. Or, okay, dear one, the heart is closed, or it feels lonely or tender. So, the mental noting is a beautiful practice to go alongside with the practice of being present with the breath, with the body, with nature, with each other. It helps us see what takes us out of presence. It's often called the hindrances, the things that pull us away. And so we note them. That gives us skill. It gives us a little subject object orientation. And then there's some spaciousness. And then we can decide what to do. I think I'm going to stay in complaining mind for a while. I feel like it. I feel like venting and ranting. Okay. But when we do that, we're at choice, conscious. And we hopefully keep the quality of do no harm. We're not tearing down the mood of those around us. We just express what we need to express and come back home. And so we're returning to the gold when we're cultivating this being present. I love the story that's at the heart of Tara Brach's book, Trusting the Gold, the story of the golden Buddha that I'm sure many of you know. And I just keep returning to it with the clients I work with one-on-one and different programs I'm teaching. And that's this idea that, or that's a story of in the I think it was the 1930s, there was a town in, I think it's the town in China, according to my notes, where these these monks were moving a stucco covered Buddha. They were moving it to a new, they had built a new temple and they were going to move it. And they had a whole ceremony before they moved it and had a lot of prayers and said, let's not, let's ensure that nothing happens to this. We've got all the right support systems and scaffolding, and we're going to move this stucco covered Buddha over to this new temple. But despite the ceremony and the prayers, they dropped it and it became cracked and they were really bummed out. I don't think that's the language of the monks, but they were bummed out and they just let it rest there. They had moved it over and they just rested it by the new temple. And a huge storm came in and they thought, oh gosh, yeah, that's an omen of what we just did. And the storm comes in and things really got muddy. And the next day, the keeper of the temple showed up and he started to kind of clean the mud off the stuccoed Buddha. And as he did, where it was cracked and he's like wiping off the mud, he saw the glint of gold shining through. And he called everyone around and they started cleaning off the mud and the stucco. And they revealed the largest gold statue. It's a gold Buddha, but it's the largest statue that's solid gold in the world. And it turns out that hundreds of years before, the monks that were caring for this gold statue knew they were going to be sieged, taken over, and they wanted to protect this statue, and they covered it with clay so that it wouldn't be recognized. And the sad part is that no one, everyone that knew the secret of this Buddha, that it was covered over in clay, they were all murdered by the Burmese. Every last person was killed. So the secret died with all of them. And it wasn't until the 1950s that the truth of this gold Buddha was revealed, that we saw the gold under the clay. And so this is really the practice that we're in of awakening, awakening the heart, walking the path, accessing our Buddha nature. As we close our talk here, I want us all to feel into that truth of the gold that's in each one of us. And that means all human beings. All of us get covered over in clay. And sometimes we're behaving and acting from the clay, each of us, even those of us here in this wonderful mindfulness, awareness, and loving Bodhisattva heart Sangha. We operate from the clay. We forget the gold. So we want to have practices that bring us back into being. Thich Nhat Hanh says, when we love from our whole being, our Buddha gold nature heart, our Christ consciousness, then we radiate that. And when we love from the heart, the whole body gets activated. So that's our assignment. There is a river flowing now very fast, says a Hopi blessing. It's so great and so swift that there are those that will be afraid. They will try to hold on to the shore. They will feel that they're being torn apart and they will suffer greatly. Know that the river has its destination. The elders say we must let go of the shore, push off into the middle of the river, keep our eyes open and our heads above the water. And I say, see who is there with you and celebrate. At this time in history, We are to take nothing personally, least of all ourselves. For the moment that we do, our spiritual growth and journey come to a halt. The time of the lone wolf is over. Gather yourselves. Banish the word struggle from your attitude and vocabulary. All that we do now must be done in a sacred manner and in celebration. This is our assignment. That place in the clearing where we gather, where we trust the gold, where we look for the gold in ourselves and each other, where we sing to each other the true nature of our hearts. We reflect that for each other so that we attune, we vibrate together, we bring ourselves and each other back into presence. This is how we walk together as spiritual warriors with strong backs and soft fronts in these very, very challenging times. Thank you for being here, for practicing with me. I invite you to close your eyes and just take a deep breath together. Being present is the greatest gift we can give to ourselves and one another. Living from love, from the gold, from our true nature. That is our assignment. Blessings. So I invite you now to join us for movement. Emily here will guide us in some movement, and then we'll come back together for some Q&A. Thank you, Emily.
Thank you, Laurie. Let me invite you either remain seated or just stand up, opening to the energy in your body, expanding your arms, and then sway. Arms shoulder height, swaying with just how your body can move from side to side. Engaged attention with the flow of your fingers, as if moving through water, as part of this ocean of being here in this community. And then open up wide, expanding your arms, drawing your arms up. Exhale, soften your shoulders and your elbows. And then reach that left arm higher. Exhale down. And inhale, reaching the left. The other hand, exhale down. And then grasping your left wrist in your right hand, expanding over towards the right. Breath into that right lung, or whatever left lung. Float your arms down. I'm going to reconnect, lifting up, grasping the right wrist in the left hand, and flow over to the left. I was getting my right and left mixed up. Inhale up, floating your arms down, roll your shoulders together and roll them the other way. Drawing your arms up into cactus arms. Exhale, holding the elbows up, hands are down. Inhale, rise up, dropping the shoulders. Exhale, dropping hands down. Inhale, rising up, extending your arms out and flipping that left palm up. The right thumb goes down. And then switch over to the right palm up, left thumb down. Switch to the left palm up, right thumb down. And now to the right palm up, left thumb down. Dropping your arms down, roll your shoulders independently. And roll them the other way. Now come to center, placing your hands just at the hip crease, extending out your body to a perpendicular place with the floor. Noticing the energy in your feet, drawing the energy from the earth, engaging those leg muscles, and then fold a little bit further by placing your hands above your knees. You could keep your head in line with your spine or drop the chin to the chest and drop your arms into space to drop further down, maintaining the energy in your legs to support you, to bend at that hip crease, protecting your lower back. Breathing into the back of the body, lifting up, exhaling down, and allow this hanging, this dropping into space, supported by your legs. And then draw your hands to above your knees, tuck your tailbone under, lifting up. Shoulders up around your ears, exhale down, placing your hands behind your back. Inhale, lifting your head and chest. Exhale, drawing your hands below your waist. And then back to the small of your back. Notice, take a moment to find your gaze. And then tuck the tailbone under a little. Inhale, lifting the head, the chest, drawing your shoulder blades together. Exhale, dropping the hands down. And back to center. And release. Take a moment to fly, to expand into your space, to sway. As if you could just draw in the air like a bird flying. And now draw your arms up overhead, palms together, centered. Draw your hands to your heart. And then turn the hands out to the group, this Sangha, all of us together here. And turning your hands down to appreciate the earth in its abundance. And then whoosh up. Once more down to your heart, out to the group, down to the earth, and whoosh. Centering, palms overhead, soften the elbows. Take a breath in, exhale, down to your heart, and take a bow. Thank you for your practice.